was doing
Like
it.
about 30
Real
years.
development.
The name
Yes.
plate on the other side is
Yes.
lost.
Oh, but it's here.
It's all right on that side,
But it's lost on the other
yeah,
side.
it was at least, I think it was at least 50 years ago. And I've never got around to having a new one made. But otherwise, the two sides are much the same. So,
Patrick,
thank you.
Did you want to?
No, that's right. Well,
come around and
Yeah, well, it doesn't get fun, I think.
There's another thing.
I was waiting for you to show me.
The funnel has been bent.
oh, I see. And
They might fall off.
and the coal was painted white down here.
In there, yes,
Goodness me.
yes. Quite incredible.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I think, Patrick, that there are a few words which need to be said.
Yes?
Have the photographers got all they need?
No, they're going to listen to what Patrick and I are going to say. Patrick, I need to say to you that this is an honour and a privilege to be here standing next to someone who was able to say about Lord Rutherford of Nelson, my grandpa. And that, for any New Zealander, is just an incredible privilege, because you know that there isn't a single New Zealander, and there are now 4.5 million of us, who doesn't know the name of Rutherford. Never mind that he's Lord or that he's Ernest, he's Rutherford. And where does he occur? He's on the $100 note.
Yes.
And for me, as a graduate of the University of Canterbury, knowing that Rutherford did his early work on the ground floor underneath the clock tower in the 1890s, and he was there because the physics department where he was a student was in a tin shed at that time in Canterbury. And the work he was doing was meticulous, so he had to be in a proper building, so that's where they put him, in Rutherford's Den. And as you know, Rutherford's Den is now an honoured corner of the Arts Centre of Christchurch, which is the old university, and it would attract about 500,000 visitors a year. Now, in addition to that, when I first met you, Patrick, here in, I think it was 2010,
Yeah.
and you said to me when we talked, you showed me the locomotive, and I knew about Campbell's biography, and I also knew that this locomotive was the second in the world to be named of that group of locomotives. The first one was named after George V,
Yes.
and the second one was named Lord Rutherford of Nelson. And that is quite incredible, because you know that your grandfather won a scholarship to Nelson College of Boys, otherwise he wouldn't have gone to high school. And from Nelson College for Boys, he won a scholarship to the University of Canterbury. And he became the foremost, most remembered scientist New Zealand has ever produced. He is the son of the nation. And further, to have been awarded a Nobel Prize in 1907 was something which has gone into the annals of history of New Zealand. So when you said to me that day in 2010 that you would like it to come to Canterbury, I was just filled with emotion, as I was just now. And to be able now to go back to our earthquake city, which doesn't exist really because it's just the centre of the city, because the earthquake was right underneath it. The centre of the city is a great shingle pit, but it will be rebuilt. But Canterbury Museum was undamaged because it was earthquake proof. And I want you to know that the former mayor of Christchurch, the current mayor of Christchurch, the man who's in charge of the city recovery, the man who's in charge of the central city recovery, the University of Canterbury, the Arts Centre of Christchurch Board and Chief Executive, the Rutherford's Den Trust Board, of which you know I'm the patron, and the Canterbury Museum are all waiting for the handover of this model locomotive, which will go on exhibition at the Canterbury Museum until early in 2015, when it will be reinstated at Rutherford's Den permanently. The den and the whole of the Great Hall and the Clock Tower are the very first part of the Arts Centre to be renovated. And that's coming along very nicely, but it was a 3-year job and it won't be completed until about 2015. So I would like to read to you a message from all of us at the Rutherford's Den Trust, but I'll read the one from Jenny May, who is the chair of the Trust Board. Dear Patrick, a huge thank you for your generosity in gifting the Rutherford locomotive model to Rutherford's Den Trust. It will be housed by the Canterbury Museum until the Den is open again in 2015, and from that point it will be one of the greatest treasures we will have on display. This is such a wonderful gesture by you, it is hard to put into words our gratitude. With our best wishes, Jenny May, Chair. And that, I think, comes from our hearts with great honour and gratitude. And so along with the card, which has got a little bit about what we're doing, we haven't stopped.
No.
The children are still getting their introduction to Rutherford science in great numbers, because we bought a van and we've gone out to the schools instead of having the children come into the den, which of course they can't. Now, Patrick, an occasion like this cannot go without a small gift to you. And I would like to give you a punamu, a piece of greenstone, carved by a Maori elder, and its name is Te Koharaki, and that is a gift from heaven. It has been blessed by a kaumātua of the Ngaitahu tribe, which is the Canterbury tribe, and the kaumātua is a very highly respected clergyman. But that punamu is the koru, which is the symbol of life. And it's my honour to present it to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There we go.
That's better. I don't know what I can say after that. I can only say that I was not persuaded in any way. I'm getting on in my life, and I feel that some of my things need to be left. Now, naturally, I leave most of them to my family, but an engine like this, I cannot split. And as my children are all daughters, all girls, I felt that it would be even more difficult if there was one boy who was doing physics. That would be fine, but there isn't. So we thought about this for some time and decided that probably the best thing was to give it to the university. I must say I've always had a little worry as to whether we should give it to Nelson College, but
I'm sure when they find out about it, they will think they own it.
Yes, indeed. But there was something else, returning more to this country, that is of interest, that I think we're getting to the state where half the population don't really know what LMS stands for. That until 1948, the railways in this country were private, and there were in fact 4 railway companies. They had been grouped together from a large number of private companies in 1923, but the largest of this group was the London, Midland and Scottish Railway, and the line from St Pancras to Derby was part of that line, and that is why it is the LMS,
yes.
Class 5XP. And as a matter of interest, the model was given to me by the chairman of the company.
That's right. Yes.
And I knew nothing about it until I had actually named the engine.
With Grandpa. With Grandpa.
Grandpa was there. Oh yes. Yes. The engine and the whole train was used to take a party of people from St Pancras up to Derby, where Grandpa opened the new research lab that they had built there. And
because
so,
he was very much involved in research with the LMS, wasn't he?
oh yes.
Yes.
In fact, and of course the research at Derby was not fundamental research like his own research. It was more materials testing and that sort of thing.
Yes.
With the object of increasing the reliability and life of the railway engines.
Yes.
You haven't mentioned the Nobel Prize yet.
Yes, you have.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I'm sorry, I
Yes,
missed it.
1907.
Yes.
Yes. And we had a great, and you see, we had a great celebration in 2007, and Mary Fowler is Rutherford's great-granddaughter.
Yes.
And she was the Rutherford Fellow in New Zealand for the New Zealand Royal Society that year.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Yes. Patrick, I wonder, I would really love for you and I to stand in front of the portrait with the locomotive for a photograph. Would that be all right?
Yes.
Yeah, good idea, actually, yes.
Don't forget my camera.
Not forgetting your camera.
Yeah, yeah. Keep the flash on.
maybe if you hold the logo between you,
Yes,
and
all right.
the portrait's like in the middle. Yeah.
Are we going to have a problem
But,
with...
well, so if we do it slightly sideways on,
Yes,
so
all
that
right.
way, we get away with the reflection.
Okay.
So if we bring that back up there, so then you look like you're handing it across.
Right.
Right, yeah, so if you do it like watching it at all. Right. Yeah. Not that I've ever done anything like this before, you see. So. Right.
I'm sure I blinked.
No, you didn't. No big smiles. Right, there you go. You do one as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've got no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
Oh,
like
I've got
angle,
all of
so
this.
Right. Okay. Everyone else.
Yes.
Yes. I hadn't realised it actually moved.
Oh, look, yes, I think
I think the brakes are off.
Brakes are off. Yes.
Actually,
Very clean it, because
for when
it
you
was
come
totally
to
supposed to be
display,
cleaned professionally.
it was originally
Yes, because I said it was really rather grimy.
Oh,
But
yes,
it does.
yes.
It's done, it does
there are
over the
holes
years.
to set up screws, and so you can find.
Done
But
professionally,
I
so
lost
thought,
the
good, I don't
screws
have to do it.
Yes.
probably 70 years ago.
Yes. And did you find the box, Patrick?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Wonderful. But what a thrill it must have been to not only unveil it, but to know that this was only the second of this class of locomotive
Get
that was
some more
named.
information.
I didn't know at the time.
Oh, no,
Well, I just mean,
no.
so tell me the story again, so I get
I
all the
have, in
details.
fact,
Is that
got
okay?
the
So I don't know who the
Well,
best
yes,
person
Oh,
is.
yeah.
should I get
All the
I get my
photocopy?
of that class.
Yes, because there were quite a number of them,
There were
weren't
quite
there?
a number of them. And also when they came to listing,
I don't know lots about and why he's
another
Well, because there was people around.
engine was called Lord Nelson,
Oh,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah, sure.
or Nelson, I forget which. But of course, when listing them, they put Nelson and Lord Rutherford of Nelson together.
Oh,
But it was a very involved class. There were all sorts of different variations on the locomotives and the tenders.
yes, well, this is all recorded in the history of that of locomotives at that time.
Yes, that's right.
Now, the other thing that I need to say to you is that we have taken out massive insurance on it
Yes.
from yesterday until the time it is exhibited in the Canterbury Museum.
Yes.
So I thought I needed to reassure you about that.
So I can write to my insurance company and tell them they needn't bother anymore. What it is worth, I don't know. I mean,
So the immigrants over there.
in 1971,
after he'd studied
it was worth 1,500. Well, that's what somebody said because we sent it to Cambridge.
Yes,
To an
yes, you
exhibition.
said that, and I gave that information, and what they've done is doubled it and multiplied it by inflation, so that it's now probably in the vicinity of 100,000 New Zealand dollars.
I must say, I left my insurance at 1,500.
Yes, no, we've covered it from yesterday until the time I will be met at Christchurch Airport on the 28th of November.
Right.
But it's insured until early. Well, it will be covered by the museum once they take
So
possession
I've
of it.
seen I think you had an old picture there. That's a photocopy of an old picture of
That's
him.
right.
Is that was he the child in the picture?
Yeah,
Right.
he was
Okay.
8 at the time.
Yeah. So it was launched and
That was
model made.
took a while to get moving. Oh well, that's very exciting. You wouldn't believe how much interest there is in Christchurch. There is. It's just astonishing. It's astonishing.